Hey, what's up? My name is Rob, and I am the creator of Hip Hop Rally, which is an online resource for education, entertainment, and inspiration for machine producers. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about distortion and just sort of explain to you why distortion is so important to us as producers and how it can help you improve your sound on Maschine. So why is distortion important today? When you initially hear the word distortion, you probably think of something like negative. But in reality, the purpose of using distortion on your beats, so whether that's on a drum sound or on a synthesizer or a bass line or something like that, is to add harmonics to your audio signal. It adds more to what you already have, okay? And distortion refers to any type of processing that really damages or manipulates your audio signal. And in today's age of like pristine recording studios, pristine sounds, digital recording, it's more important now than ever to be able to utilize distortion to add more originality and more flavor and more grittiness and griminess to our beats. So today, probably every track, every beat, every song that you listen to has distortion in it somewhere. But sort of before we jump into Maschine and before you try to use your distortion, it's important that you understand the situations and the proper technique in order how to learn how to use this in your beats properly. So let's jump on over to Maschine. I'm going to give you some specific examples of how to utilize your Maschine stock distortion to improve your sound, the sound of your beats, whether that's drums, bass line, synthesizer leads, whatever. So let's jump on over to Maschine. Okay, so what's the point of distortion, first of all? What's the point of Maschine's distortion plugin? What are you trying to do with this? Well, basically, this plugin is created to emulate the magic sound that old analog gear provides. I know you've probably seen rack mount studio gear and all those older expensive studios, those knobs and all that other crap. But basically, the distortion plugin on Maschine is made to emulate some of the sonic characteristics that come from running your sounds through all that old analog gear. Because basically there's something organic and natural that happens when you run sound and audio signals through old equipment because this old equipment naturally distorts your audio signal just based upon the imperfections of sort of that technology. So the goal of distorting your sound in Maschine is to add some of those impurities and some of that more organic sound that our ears are used to hearing from, recordings back that are recorded on old analog gear. Your ears have become sort of attuned to hearing those sounds. So the goal of this is to add the weight and the warmth and the volume to your mix that people are used to hearing, and it sounds better in my opinion. So how does distortion work? For example, I know we just talked about how distortion basically is a byproduct of running sounds through old analog gear, but why does this old analog gear distort sound naturally, and why are we trying to recreate that sound? Well, let me provide you with a quick image right here. So digital distortion plugins, whether it's the Maschine one or any other digital distortion plugin, are made to emulate the effect of overloading an old analog circuit. Okay, so in order to understand how Maschine's distortion plugin works, you're going to have to first understand how old audio gear works. And on old audio gear, distortion refers to any form of processing, like I said, that damages the audio signal. And I put damages in quotations, even though you can't see me, because the damage actually sounds good in a lot of cases. It's a creative way of damaging your audio signal to get things to sound better. Okay, it's a byproduct of something that was not created for that purpose, but ended up sounding. You made trash or you made treasure out of something that was not intended. All right. So distortion occurs at the point where your audio signal, once you pass it through all of these old analog circuits and all this analog gear, the audio signal starts to clip and distort because there's too much volume. There's too much information being passed through the audio signal. So the circuits overload internally. They squash the analog volume of the sound because they can't handle the volume of sound that's passing through it. As you can see here, these are pipelines. I wanted to sort of illustrate this. It's like if you sort of try to rush too much water or liquid through some of these pipes, too much of a volume that couldn't handle, these pipes can only handle a certain amount of volume at a time. the pipes might burst and cause chaos. And that's sort of what's happening to your audio signals in these old analog distortion plugins. You run too much volume through them, and because of that, it creates a chaotic situation in which the audio is sort of handled in a way that makes it sound sort of imperfect, okay? It produces a really unique coloration, and in a lot of cases, it actually enhances the sound and enriches the harmonics, okay? So now that you understand that, let's jump back over to Maschine, and I'm going to give you a specific example of not only in what situation you want to use your distortion, but how all these knobs and things work on your distortion, okay? I like to personally use distortion as a way to add warmth to sounds that sound a little bit too digital and too cold. All right, so that can be an issue for me because all these sounds are recorded. Like for example, right now I'm using a sound that is inside of Maschine stock library. It's probably recorded in a really pristine a really pristine room. Like the acoustics were perfect. There's not any background noise. There's no imperfections, and because of that, it sounds, not quite right to my ears. So I like to make it a little bit more nasty, okay? And the distortion module will help you do that by adding more warmth and harmonics to your sound. It's an easy way to get a fuzzier sound, a more overdriven sound, okay? So let me jump into I'll show you some situations in which I might use distortion in one of my beats, and I'm going to jump in sort of and explain what all these knobs and parameters do so that you can utilize these techniques inside of your own music, okay? So I'll let you listen to a beat that I put together last night and sort of hear how I'm utilizing distortion within this beat. So let's turn everything on. All right, let's go. Okay, so you get sort of an example of the distortion or sort of the project that I'm working with. And I'm going to sort of dive in here to show you some sort of examples of how you can utilize distortion in certain places, how I'm using it right now and how I could use it. And I'm going to sort of break down and let you listen to for yourself so you can hear what the differences are between undistorted audio signals and distorted audio signals and sort of why I like to utilize them, all right? So in this situation, we're working with, this is a bouncing mark, which is like an electric piano. So I'm going to type that in there so you know what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the first scene to loop this. I'm going to sort of play it without the distortion and with the distortion. And then I'm going to jump in here and adjust some of these parameters to show you how you can affect the distortion and the tone of the distortion to sort of enhance the sound. And then we're going to play it with on and off so you can sort of hear the results, all right? So this is a really good example of this, and I want to make sure that you have on a good pair of headphones so you can hear the details within what I'm explaining right now, or maybe you've got your studio monitors up. I want you to pay attention to when I toggle this on and off. Basically, what this distortion does is it adds, like I said, richness in the upper harmonics of the sound. All right, it adds more to the audio signal. It sort of grimies it up a little bit, and you can sort of hear some like static hiss in the upper frequencies, and it makes the sound a little bit more thicker and more prominent in the mix, okay? So I'm going to turn this off, and then as it loops after the second time, I'm going to turn it back on, and I want you to listen and pay attention to the differences as I talk. Okay, so you get it, all right? So in this new distortion plugin on Maschine, we've got two modes. There's a Mulholland and an analog, okay? And I think a Mulholland is just a specific distortion emulation. Maybe it's like an old piece of gear that was very popular, but I typically just adjust based upon the certain situation of what I'm particularly using it for. So in this case, we're going to play with some of these knobs, and I'm going to show you the effects of which. All right, so saturation is sort of adds thickness to the sound. The bass is going to control the amount of distortion that is applied to the lower frequencies of the sound. The tone sort of adjusts the harmonics of the sound itself. Focus allows you to focus specific amounts of distortion to particular frequencies, and you control which frequencies based upon the definition. And of course we have the mix. All right, and the mix applies the overall amount and the ratio of dry to wet analog signal. So fully turned on is 100% wet. Fully turned off is 100% dry, and you can choose the differences between the two, all right? And there's also a gate as well. Oh, there's no gate on this. Maybe that's the Mulholland one. All right, so I'm going to sort of play around with these parameters and let you hear the differences and see how this sounds. I'm going to sort of tune it up the way I So that's typically how I utilize most of my plugins. As you can see, I sort of turn them very far in this direction and then sort of turn them down a little bit. You know, and in my situation, that's typically the way I like to mix, is I turn things up too much and then sort of dial it back until it sounds correct. I turn the bass up too much and then I dial it back until it sounds correct. I'll turn the tone up too much and then dial it back until it sounds correct. I'll toggle on and off the focus and then dial it back until it sounds correct. And same thing with the mix as well. And basically, in my opinion, this makes it a lot easier for you to customize the individual sound for that situation, or the individual effect for that situation. A lot of people rely upon presets, and in my opinion, presets don't do the job adequately because, you know, you don't want to use the same amount of distortion in every situation, right? The differences between the things that are going on in every beat, like everything needs to be mixed in a relative mode, all right? So for example, I want to pay attention to when I didn't do this in this case, so shame on me, but I want to mix my distortion plugin as my drums and everything else in the beat are playing so that I can determine how adding this distortion is affecting every other sound around it. And when you're using presets and you're relying upon a preset sound, it's like trying to shove a square peg into a round hole. And a lot of times, that's not the best way to do it, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and go further. I've got this, let's see. Let me isolate some of these sounds. Another location in which you can use distortion is the sub-frequencies. I find that's very useful sometimes. So let me go ahead and highlight this sub-frequency. And I'm going to sort of throw on a distortion here and let you see how it sounds. So in my opinion, it does not sound better with the distortion, so I'm just going to take it off. And that's how I typically mix, guys. Like, I'm just really experimenting with things. I'm just jumping in here, throwing on random crap, that I think is like a good guess in the right direction, and just sort of playing around with it in the context of the overall song. And if I don't really like the effect of it, if it doesn't sound better, in my opinion, if I'm making a step forward and improving the sound, then you could just take it off. It's no big deal. So that's typically how I'll use a distortion. In a lot of cases, it's good on synthesizer leads. It's good on, like we said, electric piano. In some situations, it can be good on sub bass. Not every situation. Same thing with drum sounds as well. Like you can apply it towards a snare as well in a light sense. But it's just up to you to sort of experiment with this effect. Play around with the toggles. See what situations the effect lends itself to you. And sort of decide for yourself, like, does this sound better? Is this improving my overall sound, or is it taking away from it? All right. So you've stayed on for obviously a long time. Obviously, you're serious about improving your overall sound on Maschine, about learning and filling your brain with knowledge and techniques so that you can improve your sound on Maschine, so that you can make better quality music in Maschine, so that you can learn the techniques to take your music and your music career to the next level, okay? So over the past year, actually, I've been putting together a library of video lessons that will teach you everything that you need to know to make release-ready music on your Maschine. It's the start-to-finish formula for creating great beats on Maschine. So for example, inside of this course, there's a lesson that we put together that breaks down the very best audio engineering techniques on Maschine. And in this lesson, we went into depth into the best ways that you can mix your hip-hop beats and electronic beats using this Maschine platform in the ways in which I described to you. Except we go into more depth about using all of the plugins that you have at your disposal. I go into detail and let you look over my shoulder as I'm mixing beats on Maschine. I break down the steps that I'm taking, the reasoning behind why I'm doing all of these things. And it's basically just an insight, a look over my it's like a mentorship for you. Not only will I tell you what to do, why you should do it, but I'll show you how I'm utilizing these things. So it's my entire formula of cutting-edge audio engineering techniques to make your mixes and your beats on Maschine sound like they were made in a big studio. Okay? And another lesson we put together, let me bring it up for you and show you myself. I have a specific lesson on here about distortion. I go into depth, more into depth about distortion as I've done now, and show you more context of how to utilize this in your music. As you can see, there's lessons on sidechain compression, on balancing your mix, and reverb as well. And those are just a few lessons, let alone we've got 30 plus other lessons on concepts like mastering Maschines, workflow, sampling, and of course the thing that I believe makes this course the best is the mixing module, okay? And actually, the good news is that today, we're allowing a few people into this Beat School program to learn all of this stuff, to check out all of this content, to improve their skills on Maschine for free. Okay, so actually today you can sign up and get access to all this great content for free. So to get started, just click the link below in the description, and you can get started on a trial of this Beat School program. I'll send you a quick email with the login details in the next 30 minutes, so make sure that you're on the lookout for that. All right, so once you sign up for this free trial, know that we do not hold contracts. It's a 7-day free trial. You're going to enter your credit card and payment information just to make sure that we can continue the service after these 7 days. But if you decide within 7 days that you don't like what's in the program, all you got to do is call me. My number is listed right here at the bottom of this page at 314-853-2202. Or you can even email me directly at rob@hiphoprallybeatschool.com. All right, and if you do enjoy the program, which I kind of think that you will, considering that you have enjoyed all of these lessons that I've given to you for free, just think how valuable the paid stuff is, okay? I know you're going to enjoy the live calls that we put together twice a month in which, you can sort of network and fellowship with people who are like-minded, who want to grind in music and improve their music and improve their music career, active people who are working in this music industry. So if you do enjoy the program, which I figured that you do, all you have to do to stay a member is do nothing, essentially. The program is just $38.60 a month as tuition. So start your free trial now. Click the link in the description, and you'll be taken to a page that looks like this. You'll click yes, give me my free trial to Beat School, enter your name and your payment information. You have 7 days to evaluate it. Just email me if you don't like what's inside, or call me directly, and that's that, man. I know that you will enjoy this content, and I look forward to seeing you inside of the program. I look forward to hearing your voice in some of these conference calls that we put together, and I appreciate you watching this. So subscribe below. If you're not ready for this B-School program, I completely and totally understand. If you want to focus on the fundamentals, I've got a lot of great content coming up on Maschine to help you improve your sound and improve your technique to advance your knowledge and your skills on Maschine. Okay, so subscribe to this channel to make sure that you continue to get all this great free information that we have coming your way. All right, so again, my name is Rob from hiphoprally.com. Check out my blog. It's also linked below in the description for more content on Maschine, and I appreciate you investing your time in me. All right, talk to you later. Peace.